Hello, how are you? This is the Rich Lieberman Bay Area Media Pulse. And again, this is a subject that you'll not hear, read about in any publication, including the Chronicle, SFK, the Mercury News. You're sure as hell not going to hear about it on KNBR. So, the Giants have gotten off to a pretty good start, right? They got the third best record in baseball. They're beating teams finally that have, legitimate winning records. They just split with the Philadelphia Phillies, took 2 out of 3 from the Yankees. You'd think that would be the discussion in all, not just local, but national. But nobody's talking about it. In fact, locally, nobody's even talking about it. In fact, the Giants' own flagship, that much ballyhooed extension. Oh, we're a big, happy family. We and the Giants, KNBR, we're a big, big, happy family. KNBR is not even talking about the Giants. They're talking about the Warriors. Today, on Friday, in one of their highlighted programs from 10 until 2, they had Greg Papa and Warriors correspondent John Dickinson, and all they talked about were the Warriors as they are about to take part in the playoffs, the NBA playoffs. They barely even mentioned the Giants. Now, you might say, what's the big deal? Well, I'll tell you the big deal. The Giants hierarchy, namely Larry Baer and Greg Johnson, are bitching and moaning about it, which was bound to happen, by the way, folks, because that's their flagship. The Warriors' own flagship station is 95.7 The Game on the FM side. And they're talking about it, but that would be logical because they're the home of the Warriors, even though basketball is hardly the talk on the FM station. But they at least have logical reasons to discuss it because it is their home client. KNBR's most lethal client beyond the 49ers is the Giants. Yet barely did they discuss the Giants. And that's what got Larry Baer and Charles Johnson's son, Greg Johnson, bitching. Now, folks, this is early on. Just wait. If the Warriors advance, which they're picked to do by the various experts, the first 2 games take place of the NBA playoffs in Houston. They're playing the Rockets. The next 2 games will be played at Chase Center in San Francisco, directly opposite, literally and figuratively, the Giants' homestand, which starts next week on Monday night. The Warriors are due to come back midweek. And boy, you want to talk about potential obstacles like the Giants post-game shows and this new Warriors overtime host, John Dickinson. You want a potential problem there? Now, look, let's just be upfront here and state the obvious that I've been discussing for weeks now. Baseball, Major League Baseball. Do you see all the issues going on with attendance or lack thereof in a lot of cities like Milwaukee and St. Louis and Chicago and the Florida teams? Look how bad it is. One of the Florida teams is playing in a minor league park. They're not drawing flies. Oh, they get a few thousand here and there, but Tampa Bay is playing in a minor league park. The A's are playing in a minor league park. They're not even selling out Sacramento. The Giants, as I just stated, doing very well, exciting. They got pitching and hitting and all this talk and this, that, and the other, except baseball is the mundane sport. And yeah, you can say it's April and the weather's cold back east and all of that, yet still, Dodgers are doing well. Dodgers get 55,000 per home game. They're set to go way over 4 million fans. But outside of LA, there is attendance issues. Nobody's talking about baseball now. And the playoffs from the NBA will certainly override whatever discussion is going to be yelped by baseball. Just baseball is now the third sport. I'm sorry. Facts are evident. So you have the Giants hierarchy. And again, you're not going to read this or hear about this anywhere else. I know because I have people tell me who are good sources right there. They are angry. And they can't bitch about money, about this, that, and the other, because there was no money exchanged in their recent extension. That was baloney. They made a deal based on each other's needs. They had no leverage, both of them. But listen to KNBR, those of you that do, even though they've dropped precipitously below where they used to be. Most of their shows nobody listens to. And you would think that the Giants' hot start would give them a little bit of a modest bump. Anything, it has not, because baseball is in the background. It's on the back burner. The Giants' hierarchy doesn't give a crap about that. They believe their own flagship station should be talking Giants. They're not. They're talking Warriors and Warriors and Warriors. And believe me, folks, if the Warriors advance, it's going to get worse because the playoffs in the NBA go on until June. Where are we now? Middle of April? That's a good 6 to 8 weeks. So just think what it's going to be like if the Warriors advance. Basketball is a hotbed of conversation. Certainly takes the headlines away, if at all, from Major League Baseball, which was in the back burner situation anyway. Folks, this has the makings of being quite a delicious irony for KNBR, which is doing everything, running promos. We're on top of the Warriors' success. We're going to send, and that's another story. Who's paying for John Dickinson to travel to Houston and potentially to Oklahoma City and LA? You're wondering, and so did I, but that's another story. This has the potential to be quite irksome. As I said, the Giants come home on Monday, and there will be this overriding, trust me, situation. Talk about an awkward schedule between the Warriors and the Giants. Look, let the facts be just factual. Baseball is not in the conversation. The only people talking about baseball is an older demo consisting of older white guys. I'm just giving you the God's honest truth. Basketball is perceived as the younger sport, the younger demo. Just take a look at the crowds at Oracle Park versus Chase Center. No wonder Craig Papa can only talk about the Warriors and John Dickinson and the morning show, even though that's a ridiculous show that nobody listens to, talk about the Warriors. The only time they talk about the Giants is when they talk with their scheduled guys like Kruko and Kuiper when they have those obligations. The Giants' hierarchy is not a happy camper. This should be an interesting 6 weeks.